Hi guys, and welcome to Forge Right. If this is your first time viewing the channel, I'm glad you could drop in. You might want to go check out the playlist and look at some of the other videos on the channel. You could also hit the like button if you like what you see, and maybe hit that subscribe button to help me expand my channel. If you fancy sharing some of the videos with your friends, I'd really appreciate it. Today we'll be getting on to piecing together all of the parts of part 1, part 2 and part 3, which is the fire pot, the clinker breaker and the air intake. So I'll be putting all that together and starting to fabricate the table. I have an old welding table which I'm going to convert into a forge table. It's not very big. It's only 900 mil by 900 mil, so pretty much for you guys in America, 3 foot by 3 foot. So a bit small for the size fire pot that I have. So I'll be adding some material around the edges to make a bit of a skirt around the edge to prevent coal and things falling off as well. And I'll be cutting a hole through the table, making a better surface for it, because being a old welding table, and a very old welding table, it's got a bit of a dip in the top and it's got weld dribbles all over it and things like that. So I'll be putting a bit of a false surface on there with a big sheet of metal. I'll also be starting to design and fabricate the mechanisms to use my ash dump and my clinker breaker handle. So that's part of that build, and designing exactly where my hood will go, and we'll see about doing the hood in the next video. Okay, I'll get into the fabrication and we'll see how we go. Okay, just going to show you the assembled fire pot and clinker breaker and air intake. So here we go. There's the actual fire pot with the clinker breaker down in there. So that's her welded on. And that's where the outlet comes out here. Ash dump is there. So there you have it. That's the unit, and looking forward to starting to do the construction of the table itself. I'm trying to design how it's going to fit into this corner. Want to use some of this material here. I've got some 150 mil by 75 mil angle iron. 2 pieces of this, one here, one there, and a 2.5 meter long length of 75 by 75 angle iron, and another shorter bit down there. That's about 1 meter long, that piece there. And I'm going to add a rim around the table the best I can. Got to decide which bits to use where. I think I'll be using these pieces on the side. Going to weld up some gussets to put onto the bottom of these, so then it can be welded to the, so they can be welded, the gussets can be welded to the sides of the legs to give me the extension out the side here, and again on the other side. And then I'll probably use the 75 by 75 to make a smaller border around this edge here. Okay, that'll do for now. Okay, well, I've started on this skirting extensions that come out here. As I said, I'm using this 150 mil by 90 mil angle iron, and I've made up some gussets to weld down here. So I know they're pretty shitty looking welds, but it's only got a hole. It doesn't have to look beautiful. And I'm sure those welds are going to hang on quite successfully. So yeah, I'm only using some offcuts of material that I've already used, cut off when I was making my fire pit, my fire pot. So That's why they're a slightly different shape. But those two are added to there. And I've also welded this piece of off-cut angle. So I cut this piece off the other end and I've welded it on sideways. So I've now got that bit clamped to there. That's going to be welded along that edge there, down that edge there. I'm not worried about those little bits at the back here where there's nothing in here. I shall deal with that later. So the next job is to weld that on, then use this material here to make another one for the other side. Connected, all the clamps are off, going to give me a really good border around the edge of the forge table. I'll do the same thing on the other side. Bit of a view of my weld on the gusset running up there. So I think that's going to hold pretty well. Got good deep penetration. I've just welded along this edge here, probably about 85 mil of weld. Doesn't have to look good. It's going to have a cover over the top, just on the corners, just to stop it spreading at all, and along this edge here. That's plenty. The gusset welding is enough to hold it there forever and a day. Okay, another little update. Just thought I'd show the gussets attached to the edges of the second one before I went and attached them to the table. There we have it. So that's the strip made and ready to be attached to this side. Okay, I've managed to get this piece fabricated together. I'm not sure, I think maybe I had that done and I was attaching the gussets to the bottom. I did that. I've now welded that to the side of there. But the bit I wanted to show you was this bit here. Now I'm using this 75 by 75, which I wanted to make the front edge out of here. So I've cut that so that it slots into there, flush along the front of there. And I've checked out this 150 mil corner here. Check that out there so that it fits into this corner here, and did the same on the other side. Now the interesting thing is, because it's the same here as it is over there, the pieces that I cut out from here are the perfect size once I've ground away the corner here and put a bit of a chamfer on the edge there, a bit of a bevel. Perfect size to slot into there with a bit of a tap. Just like so. Righto. I've now finished putting on the front section as I described I was going to do. I've only welded it in certain places, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 2-inch welds along there, but along the front edge, the outside edge, on the corners, I've put a full weld all the way along, and the same on the other corner. So that's welded all along, and I've rounded those edges off a bit. I'm actually really happy with the way it turned out. So from one side to the other side is now 1220, and from front to back is 1140. Here we are. I've just finished cutting out and inserting the false floor in the table. It's a large sheet of galvanized steel. It won't have any fire on it, so there won't be any fumes coming off it. It's just somewhere to put tools, sink the fire pot into, and have my coal and so on. So it's all in, and I've had to put a joining piece in the back. Wasn't quite big enough. The sheet that I thought was going to be big enough was thinner material than I thought it was, and I'm not happy to use the thin material, so I'm using this good solid galvanized material and a strip of metal down the back. It will be covered over from this line here out to there, back up to here and back up here. That's where the hood starts. It's the entrance to the hood. I'm not sure if you can see the lines on the video, but that is where the edge, outside edge of my fire pot will go, across like that. So this is the hole that I'm cutting out of the middle of that segment. So I'm just about to use the trusty drill to drill out the corners, and then I'll cut my way through, and I'll have nice accurate corners. I'll do another update when I finish doing that. Okay, so there we have the fire pot sitting inside the table. Quite happy with that. Sits in there nicely. All the mechanism there. It's where my clinker breaker handle comes to, so I'll have that coming out to here. I'll have some sort of a bracket there that it runs through with a handle on it there. I've lined up these with a point here, and I'm going to cut a 45-degree angle across there, and up there, and the same on the other side here. 45 across 45 gives me a nice opening on the edges to run very long material through. No point having the recesses here to get long material through if they're held up by that. So they'll be the next thing to cut out. Been working on this table again today. Got a couple of hours at it, and I've now done the handle for the clinker breaker. So just thought I'd give you a bit of an update on how that turned out. Effectively got two of these nuts that are welded together, screwed on. I put this nut on first down to about here, and I screwed the double nut on to halfway, screwed this back to lock it in place. Then I've screwed this nut onto here, screwed the entire handle into until it hit the center shaft of the other one, and then brought this locking nut in to tighten up on that. So now when rotated, they all rotate together. There's a bit of a screech in there, just catching somewhere. I'm sure that will wear in over time. And then we've got here, I've welded on a plate to the original framework of the table, just with a little tab system that comes down here and a hole drilled through. The threaded bar, then I cut a little 45-degree wedge out of it and bent it down, heated it up, bent it down, and then welded the join together. Did the same thing again on the other side. So once again, that's just a 45-degree wedge cut out of there, bent back. Then I've put a little washer in, welded that to it, so it's a nice flat plate at the end. Then I cut a piece of pipe to fit on that to make a nice smooth handle on the skin, and another washer at the other end with a locking nut at this end, and that now rotates around quite easily, and probably only need to do that with it a few times and break up the clinkers. And I've got it so that when it hangs straight down like that, the fingers are all in line, flat, so material doesn't fall through too easily. Then when it rotates, it allows stuff to fall through, catches and clunks on it, and then settles back down nicely in that spot. My next step now is to do this clinker breaker mechanism. So I've got to figure out a way of attaching an eyelet to here with a bar coming up and out. It's just a matter of figuring out the mechanism, the best way to go about it, and I'll update you when I've designed it and constructed it. Righto, here is the unit that I've been making. That's a piece that I've cut off some angle iron previously, just another piece of scrap. I'm going to be grinding some bevels into this edge here to be able to weld to the underneath of the table. So that will hang under the table like that. I've then got a hole drilled through and through another longer segment. It's pretty much 1/3 of the distance. So 2/3, 1/3. That gives me a pivot point there. Runs down to another segment which is attached to the other end. Same again, hole drilled through, bolt, washer on either side and a washer in the middle. Done them all that way, and a nut with a locking sorry about the noise, nut with a locking nut on it, which allows me to set it at the right distance and get some nice rotation in there without it actually coming loose. So two of those. Got a hole in this end which is for the connection to the underneath. I'll take you underneath here. It's getting very dark, so you probably can't see, but I've got another bolt welded to my ash dump. That's where that other end hooks onto. Comes up here, across here, pivot point, up and underneath the table. Well, I can show you what it looks like connected. The ash dump mechanism. So attached onto the weight here. And pivoted at this point here. So that comes up there like that. Sorry. Allows it to swing right up and down and comes off and pivots off there. So a bit of a pressure on there. And the whole mechanism goes up and down. Now, I still haven't welded it up under there. It's just held on with a Irwin clamp. But that bracket will be welded on there. At the moment I've got it as a handheld unit. I might even put a handle on this. Just means drilling a hole through there and bolting a good solid handle on, so I'm not pushing on that. I'm holding a handle and pushing it down, much like this one. I've cut out these sections here. I think I mentioned I was going to do it, and I had a 45-degree angle I was going to cut, but I decided I wouldn't do that, so I've cut it out square and square, and just done a little bit of grinding up on it, rounded off the corners here so they don't catch me on anything. They're still not smooth up. I'll get a flap disc and smooth those out so I don't get hacked with anything. Same on the other side here, so I can pass material through here. Still a bit of a burr on that side. So yeah, that's looking quite good now. I think I showed before my clinker breaker handle here, so as well as cutting out these sections, I've now done my ash dump handle. I've decided that I would not do a foot pedal. The amount of work that goes into trying to organise a framework and all sorts of levers here and levers there to come down and have a foot pedal down on this corner is just not worth it when you can just do that. So I'm pretty happy with the way that turned out now. Well, that's where I'll leave this video. I think it got to a pretty good stage with the forge table. I'm trying to reduce the length of my videos. I know people don't like to watch very long videos, and I don't seem to be able to keep my videos under 20 minutes. Occasionally I do, but with a decent project like this, I find it very hard. I am going to try to find ways to reduce the videos down to maybe 10 or 12 minutes. I like to explain what I do for people who are thinking about doing it themselves, and for that reason they're probably a bit longer than what some people would appreciate. So if you feel like I could stop talking or talk less and show less length in my videos, just say so and I'll adapt them to the feedback that I get. So next video will be on the hood, the forge hood itself. I have a plan for it and I have the materials for it, but it might take me a little while to get it built, and then I'll be putting all of the air intake piping on and connecting up the blower. Got to build a little compartment for the blower, and I've got to install my flue. So there's a fair bit to get into the next video, and hopefully I'll get that up in the next week or so. But if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and pass it on with your friends. Also, if you haven't done already, please hit that subscribe button and maybe suggest to some of your friends that they do the same. Okay, thanks for watching Forge Right, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.